Ladies and gentlemen, before we start, I'd like to give you a brief introduction during this section. To hear the simultaneous translation, please select the English or Vietnamese channel from the interpretation button at the bottom of your screen. You can use the chat function to chat to other attendees and speakers. If you have a question for a presenter, there will be a time during the panel discussion toward the end of the section to ask questions, and you can ask your question using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. All presentations in this section are available at the online platform. Please, you are welcome to download all of them for your information. It's important today that all presenters keep to their allocated time limit, as we do have a full agenda. If you do go over your time limit, you will hear a bell sound to indicate that you need to wrap up your presentation. A reminder to speaker to turn your camera on and unmute as you are being introduced. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Vietnam-Australia Water Week, proudly co-hosted by the Australian Water Association and Vietnam Water Supply and Sewerage Association, with support from the Australian government, Australian Water Partnership, and Ministry of Construction in Vietnam. The theme of the week is Water for Sustainable Development, and it includes 5 interrelated sections. The week provides an important opportunity for our water sector to come together and share experiences and outcomes and contribute to shaping the future of our partnerships. Before we start, I'd like to welcome our distinguished guests joining us today. Deputy Ambassador Mark Tattersall, Mr. Nguyen Diep, the Chairman of Vietnam Water Supply and Sewerage Association, Ms. Corinne Cheeseman, Chief Executive Officer of the Australian Water Association, and Ms. Sarah Ransom, Partnerships and Impact Lead, Australian Water Partnerships. I'd like to start today's section by acknowledging the traditional inhabitants of the land from where I'm presenting today, the Aboriginal people, spirits, and ancestors, and acknowledge the vital contribution that Indigenous people cultures make to this nation that we share. I'd like to provide a brief overview of the Vietnam-Australia Young Water Professional Network. The network was initiated in 2018 with support programs. 3 Vietnam YWPs were awarded travel scholarship to attend Water 18 in Australia, followed by Australian YWP visit to annual Viet Water event every year. Since 2018, more than 15 travel scholarships have been awarded. And these support programs provide a great opportunity to YWP to explore, to connect, and especially to share challenges in career development and together find solutions to overcome the growing challenges. Since COVID pandemic outbreak, connecting activity has been pivoted to digital platforms under a new form of online emerging water leaders program. Positive changes had happened to YWP since their visits, with eye-opening experience, strengthened motivation to continue work in water sector, and choosing to study at an Australian university to broaden their skills and advance knowledge on water, environmental engineering. Long is an example that you can see on screen. He received travel scholarship to attend Water 19 in Australia and fell in love with Australia. And he decided to pursue a Master of Professional Engineering and Environmental Engineering at the University of Western Australia. Today's section is entitled Emerging Water Leader Forum. The section will bring together our current and future water leaders to grow the Vietnam-Australia YWP network and explore opportunity for future activities that enable YWP to address emerging challenges. To all YWPs who are attending this section is for you, the owners of water future who will strive for the water security under tremendous challenges. So we all want to hear from you, any challenges, any solution, anything that we can support you. For today's section, I will be co-chairing with my colleague at Vietnam Water Supply and Sewerage Association, Ms. Hằng, Head of International Cooperation Department. It now gives me great pleasure to welcome our first speaker, Deputy Ambassador Mark Tattersall.
Thank you and good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here today, welcoming all attendees to this first Vietnam-Australia Water Week. Let me start by acknowledging Mr. Nguyen Ngoc Diep, Vietnam Water Supply and Sewerage Association, Ms. Corinne Cheeseman, Australian Water Association CEO, and Dr. Nguyen, Chair of the Young Water Professionals Network. Dr. Hui studied his Masters and PhD in Australia, supported by the Australian Government's scholarship program. In his role at AWA, he's acted to bridge our country's water sectors by supporting Vietnam's objectives for safe, secure and sustainable water services. I'd also like to thank other representatives of the AWA and VWSA for organising this event, and to acknowledge Hala from the World Bank Vietnam, will provide feedback to the young water professionals and share some insights from her long and distinguished career with the World Bank. For those who don't know me, my name is Mark Tattersall. I'm the new Deputy Head of Mission at the Australian Embassy in Hanoi. I'm just over a month into my role here, and I'm really pleased to be here at this event. To all the young water professionals speaking and attending today's session, you are our future water leaders, and you've chosen wisely in your career choice. You will play a vital role in determining the future of our planet. You are in a key position to improve the livelihoods of millions around the world. Your task is not an easy one. You will need to address the problems that generations past and present have struggled with. You are entrusted with our water future, the future of the most fundamental resource that graces this planet. Water is not simply a national issue. It affects populations across boundaries. Equitable and sustainable management of water resources will be critical to the long-term socio-economic goals of the whole Southeast Asian region. The water sector is one that truly cuts across all levels of government, business and society. From the importance of water supply and water management, the way good sanitation and hygiene, as we've seen all too clearly in the COVID-19 context, can support healthy communities, to its essential support role for industry and agriculture. Access to clean and reliable water underpins a country's economic growth, its social development and its broader strategic goals. Governments can play a part by ensuring safe and reliable access to water, as well as developing policies that encourage green growth and deliver services and benefits to all, including women and girls and people with a disability. But the private sector and civil society organisations also have a critical role to play in testing new ideas, driving innovation and pursuing inclusive policy settings that ensure all aspects of society benefit from our shared water resources. Vietnam is grappling with significant water challenges: access to clean drinking water, safe disposal of wastewater, COVID-19 detection, reforming water utilities and enabling environment around pricing, managing the energy transition and emerging climate risks, including weather events. This means there are opportunities to share experiences and learnings across the region and collaborate with other countries like Australia with valuable technical expertise. I'll speak more in tomorrow's session on the bilateral relationship between Australia and Vietnam and how our cooperation has evolved over the past 20 years. But today I'm focusing on what we see as our shared regional goals and how, by working collaboratively and internationally, we can meet the sustainable development goals on water and the environment. Australia is the driest inhabited continent on Earth, and in the words of one of my country's most iconic poems, a land of droughts and flooding rains. Our water resources are scarce and haphazard. 6 of our states and territories share our largest river basin, the Murray-Darling. As such, we understand the challenge of managing scarce water resources that flow across boundaries. Australia's track record in managing and responding to extreme weather events, as well as the diversity of the climate across Australia, from the tropical north to the temperate coast to the desert centre, means we can offer practical examples to other countries in the region based on our own experience. A number of Australian companies will be showcasing technology-led innovation in water resource management and responses to natural disasters in the virtual trade platform. The focus of this morning's session is young water professionals, and this is appropriate as it is from you, the future leaders of the water sector, that creative solutions to existing and emerging challenges will be developed. The Australian government has a long history of supporting young water professionals over many years. One example is DFAT's Australia Awards scholarships. Australia Awards provide opportunities from people across the Indo-Pacific, including Vietnam, to undertake full-time undergraduate or postgraduate study at Australian universities and technical institutions. Since 1995, the Australian government has funded 62 scholarships for Vietnamese citizens to receive tertiary degrees in water-related fields of study. This is an investment in our future leaders. Today's event marks a significant step in this journey by bringing together our young water professionals and providing a platform for you to share your solutions to address key challenges. We'll listen carefully to these solutions and draw upon them in shaping how the Australian and Vietnamese governments can work together in supporting future water leaders. There are many opportunities for young water professionals to get involved in shared water security challenges, and I'm impressed by the range of issues to be discussed over the next 3 days, touching on economic resilience, private sector engagement, and developing better urban and rural management practices. Exposure to different companies working on these issues and dedicated mentoring with industry professionals are great ways to develop lasting linkages and may help to spark ideas that could have application in your home countries. A diversity of voices will be integral to finding solutions that work for all citizens. I understand the AWA and VWSA will draw on today's session to take forward ideas for growing the Young Water Professionals Network and creating opportunities to support you in career development through workplace exchanges, twinning, mentoring, and scholarship opportunities. I hope to see the solutions presented today tested in a real work context. I encourage you all to get involved in the Association's Young Water Professional activities and to participate in the career development opportunities they provide. The Australian Government is proud to support the YWP network. I hope you enjoy your discussions and that these conversations help you plan for the future. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you, Deputy Ambassador. Tiếp theo chương trình tôi xin trân trọng kính mời ông Nguyễn Ngọc Diep, Chủ tịch Hội cấp thoát nước Việt Nam.
Continue the session. I would like to invite Mr. Nguyen, the Chairman of Vietnam Water Supply Association, to deliver his speech. His Excellency Mark Tattersall, Deputy Ambassador, Australian Government, Corinne, Cheeseman, CEO of Australian Water Association, on behalf of Vietnam Water Supply Association, I would like to, on behalf of all the young water professors, I would like to welcome you to the session today. We have the Australian and Vietnam Young Water Professional Network. It was initiated by Australia and Vietnam, and in 2021 we have this network with hundreds of participants, including students, lecturers from universities who are in the water sector, and this network is a platform that connects young professions in Vietnam, Australia, and Indonesia, where they can share experience and their passion in this sector. And this is also the place where they can share experience and learn from each other to become excellent leaders in the water sector. For today, we have the current and also future leaders in water sector. We can share, we will listen to challenges, their point of view, especially not only from young professionals in Vietnam, but Southeast Asia and Nepal. We are here today to facilitate the development of the young water young professional network. On behalf of Vietnam government, I would like to give my thanks to Australian government and also Australian water partnership, where for giving our young leaders opportunities to learn from others, and wish our workshop success.
Thank you very much, Chairman Nguyen Ngoc Diep. I can see from your remark that we receive a great support from the government leaders and from the Ministry of Construction and other agencies in the Vietnamese government as well. Thank you so much for your remark. Now I would like to introduce Ms. Corinne Cheeseman, Chief Executive Officer of the Australian Water Association, to have some opening remark. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hoyi, and also to Chairman Diep. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to this session on emerging water leaders. And while I do hope we'll be able to meet face-to-face in the future, this virtual Vietnam-Australia Water Week provides us with the opportunity to engage more people in both Vietnam and Australia, with over 841 expected to join us online over the next 3 days. I would also like to begin by acknowledging the Camaragal people, the traditional custodians of the land where I am today, their contribution to the management of land and waters, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. YWPs Young Water Professionals program provides career enrichment at the early stages of a young person's professional development journey, offering opportunities to develop professional skills or access to technical content that may not be readily available elsewhere. Having connected YWP networks from Vietnam, Australia, and across the broader Southeast Asia region, hosting activities such as Emerging Water Leaders Forum at Viet Water, sorry, I just lost my place. So having connected our networks across Vietnam and Australia and the wider region, hosting activities such as our Emerging Water Leaders Forum at Vietnam Australia Water Week will broaden the understanding and awareness of YWPs towards emerging issues facing our water sectors, so that we can deliver new ideas and solutions to these problems as they develop as water leaders. Our YWP networks ensure younger professionals in the region can develop their professional careers in a community of peers and learn from different perspectives across Australia, Southeast Asia and Nepal. The Emerging Water Leaders program aims to deliver on these ideals by providing exceptional YWPs from across the region with the task of developing a roadmap that will enable Australian, Southeast Asia and Nepal communities to work and network to emerge that uses existing technical and policy challenges common across our region to unite our YWPs together. Investing in our YWPs will secure the important relationship of our Vietnam and Australian water sectors, working together into the future. After watching this engaging session, I'm sure that you will agree that our future is in good hands and that the benefits of YWPs working together are enormous. I hope that you will enjoy the session as much as I will. Thank you.
Thank you, Corinne. We also have seen the support from the AWA and other agencies in the Australian government as well, and especially from the Australian Water Partnership. So next, I would like to introduce Ms. Sarah Ransom, a Partnership and Impact Lead from Australian Water Partnership, to have some remark. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Hui. It's a really great pleasure and an honour to be here today in Hanoi, even if that's only virtually. It's a city very close to my heart as I lived here with my family for 3 years. My name is Sarah Ransom. I'm the Partnerships and Impact Lead at the Australian Water Partnership. We are a water for development partnership supported by the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. AWP mobilises Australia's internationally recognised expertise in water management to meet the vital water resource needs of developing countries in our region. In doing so, we advance Australia's international development and foreign policy objectives. AWP draws on water expertise from over 200 Australian partners. Since its inception in 2015, AWP has provided technical assistance projects to strengthen water resource management in some 30 countries in the Indo-Pacific and beyond. I'm very pleased to welcome you on behalf of AWP to the Emerging Water Professionals session. Connection and partnership is something we take very seriously at AWP, and I'm delighted that even in these COVID-affected times, a space is being provided for networking and learning between emerging and young water professionals from our 2 countries. Water security is central to AWP's support in Vietnam across many scales and sectors. AWP has had a long and successful partnership with Vietnam, and we are currently working across many domains of water security in Vietnam. At the national and river basin level, we are supporting the Department of Water Resources Management under Monray to develop Vietnam's first national water resources plan and enhance river basin planning in the Dong Nai Basin. In the agriculture and irrigation sector, we support ongoing technical support through the Asian Development Bank Water Efficiency Improvement in Drought-Affected Provinces, or WEDAP project, and the World Bank Mekong Delta Integrated Climate Resilience and Sustainable Livelihoods Program. Understanding the impacts of flooding on water security, we engaged the Water Sensitive Cities Australia to develop and test tools for economic valuation of nature-based solutions in urban flood management in Ho Chi Minh City and Phu Quoc. You can hear more about this project in session 4. We are also supporting urban and rural water supply through 2 twinning programs, matching Australian and Vietnamese water utilities for knowledge sharing and capacity building to improve delivery of water and wastewater services. Most recently, that program has focused on asset management, managing non-revenue water, and adjusting to the impacts of COVID-19. The last year or 2 has been a difficult time for everybody. And in AWP, we quickly responded to COVID-19, adjusting all of our activities, refocusing many and developing new initiatives to respond to COVID. Just to give you some highlights of the work that we've done in the COVID response space. We initially started to develop a Pacific telewater network, which provides virtual technical assistance to water utilities in the Pacific through a partnership with the Pacific Water and Wastewater Association, which is the industry association for water utilities in the Pacific. AWP has developed a similar network now with several water utilities here in Vietnam, in Cambodia and Indonesia through existing partnerships between the Australian Water Association and utilities in those countries. AWP is also supporting the Australian Water Association and Water Research Australia to transfer leading Australian innovation in the environmental surveillance of SARS-CoV-2 to support the governments of Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos and Thailand to prepare, respond and recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. This knowledge transfer will support each government's efforts to monitor COVID prevalence in water environments, primarily sewage and stormwater, to inform COVID-19 control strategies of the governments and add to their COVID-19 resilience planning toolbox. The uptake so far in Vietnam has been very positive, with a pilot project underway in Haiphong province. These cost-effective earlier warning detection systems for COVID outbreaks will support long-term strengthening of health security, systems stability, social cohesion and economic recovery in Vietnam and across the Mekong region. And finally, I'd like to mention the work that AWP is doing across our region to connect and support emerging water professionals. We see you and your work to be incredibly important to the future of sustainable water management in our region. In our work to support young water professionals, we focus on diversity because sustainable water management can only benefit from the views and skills of all members of society. All our YWP programs focus on building leadership skills, mentoring, promoting gender equality and inclusion, and developing solutions together on emerging issues. Often this focus can provide a space for practical and beneficial discussions about, for example, what gender-based discrimination looks like in various cultures and workplaces, and what can be done to confront it. AWP has supported young water professionals programs across the Indo-Pacific region, including in Myanmar, India, Nepal, and regionally in the Pacific and Southeast Asia, in partnership with the Australian Water Association. In India, the model used is called Listen, Link and Lead, which starts from listening and learning from YWPs and their supporters, which I think is a brilliant place to start. We're all here to listen to you as much as you are here to listen to us. Responding to travel restrictions, AWP is supporting an online emerging water leaders program in Southeast Asia and Nepal, facilitated by AWA and Australian Young Water Professionals Networks and their partner water associations. It builds in leadership through developing 5 champion YWPs from each country through peer-to-peer exchange with the Australian YWP network and with senior water professionals from across the Australian water sector. It's so pleasing to see so many representatives from AWA, from VWSA and participating utilities in this forum, especially the emerging water leaders. You emerging leaders will play a pivotal role in managing the impacts of climate change, COVID-19 and other risks on water security in Vietnam and Australia. I wish you well today and I wish this event has great success. Thank you.
Xin trân trọng cảm ơn chị Sarah Ransom. Xin trân trọng cảm ơn sự hỗ trợ hợp tác của
Thank you, Ms. Sarah Ransom, and thank you the support from a Australian Water Association and Australian Water Partnership. And now I would like to invite Mr. Dinh Viet Cuong, representative of Young Water Professional Network. Yeah, sorry, we have the speaker from the government. So we have Mr. Dinh Viet Cuong, representative of Vietnam Young Water Professionals Network. Good morning, all the participants of Water Week 2021. I would like to introduce about myself. My name is Dinh Viet Cuong, a member of Vietnam Young Water Professional Network. It's my honor today to represent the network in Vietnam to share about opportunities and challenges in the coming time. My presentation consists of 5 parts. Cuong, can you share your screen? Oh, yeah. Please wait a minute.
Bài trình bày của tôi thì gồm có 5 phần. Phần thứ nhất thì chúng tôi sẽ xin giới thiệu chung.
Presentation consists of 5 parts. First, I would like to have a short introduction about Vietnam Young Water Professionals and objectives, as well as opportunities and challenges for our network. And lastly, I will talk about some of our conclusions about our network, VNYWP. Actually, all the exchange activities between Australia and Vietnam in the Young Water Professional Network started in 2018 when we have our young professionals join seminars and exhibitions in Water 2018 and Viet Water 2019, and you can see some photos here. Based on such activities, Vietnam Young Water Professional Network has been formed and developed. YWP office was officially established on the 1st of June 2021 with 148 members. And you can see graphs here regarding age, gender, and regional distribution of our members in our network. First, talking about age distribution, 54% of our members are aged 30 or 35 years old. Normally for this age group, they are passionate, enthusiastic, and also they have a good knowledge and professional knowledge. And for gender, you can see that 76% of our members are male. The rest are female. We know that female participation in water sector is very important because a lot of daily water activities are related to women. For example, they normally are the one to pay the water bills. So we hope that in the future we can see more balanced distribution between men and women. And then regional distribution, 51% of our members are from northern provinces, 34% are from southern provinces, and just 14% come from the central region. We have tried to engage members from all provinces and regions in Vietnam. Objectives of VNYWP, we will try to connect and engage young professionals who are working in water supply and environmental sanitation. We also try to facilitate cooperation and exchange activities between Vietnam network and Australia network and other young water professional networks in the world. We also make efforts to share experience and learn from others, including among Vietnamese professionals and professionals in the world. One of our key objectives is that we will advance to sustainable development goal 6 on clean water and sanitation. We have been making efforts to improve the quality and also the quantity of clean water and also in wastewater treatment. To realize such goals, we have identified some opportunities we have first, we have a strong support from VWSA, Vietnam Water Supply and Sewerage Association, and then we also benefit from Australia and Vietnam Young Water Professional Programs. We also receive technical support from Vietnam Young Water Professional Advisory Board, and one of the most important things is that we have a dynamic and enthusiastic young members nationwide. Our aims are to address urgent issues in water sector in Vietnam. For example, the rate of clean water supply in Vietnam. As you can see, the percentage of clean water supply in urban areas is around 90%, but in rural areas, it is only 88%. As you can see here, the gap between the access to clean water supply between the rich and the poor. So you can see that only in terms of access to clean water and basic sanitation, only 84 and 41% respectively are noted among the poor. And we see that population and growth for Vietnam, Vietnam has been growing rapidly in terms of population that require the increasing demand for clean water, but we can only reach 12% of the world standard. Moving to the current situation in wastewater collection and treatment. Now in Vietnam, we have 43 centralized urban wastewater treatment plants with a total capacity of 926 million cubic meter per day, but we can only now only 13% of the capacity was utilized. Now, as you can see, the situation in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, only 20% of total daily wastewater is treated. And now we have 6 wastewater treatment plants, as you can see in Sa and some others. And in Ho Chi Minh, now there are 3 centralized wastewater treatment plants with a total capacity of 370,622 cubic meters. Only can only cover 21.2% of daily wastewater. And we also faced serious issues in drought and saltwater intrusions. Rainfall in the Mekong Delta has decreased by 30 and 40% in 2020, and the flow in Mekong River has been at decade low level. According to the statistic, as of March 31st, 2021, the saline boundary in Mekong River ranges from 45 to 95 kilometers. This is an alarming number. The drought and saltwater intrusion have left a significant impact on agricultural production and domestic water supply in Mekong Delta. I have just gone through some challenges and issues in water sector, and recently our network has been established with the objective to connect people in water supply and sewage. We hope to support Vietnam, VWSA, and also other agencies to overcome challenges in water supply, discharge, waste treatment, and we will have an international cooperation programs. We believe that those international cooperation programs will be a critical condition for the development of the water sector. I have just ended my presentation. If you have any further question, please email to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dinh Viet, for your excellent presentation with insights to Vietnam Young Water Professional Network. And I see that you are all very young, truly enthusiastic and passionate to contribute to sustainable water future. We have also seen that there are many challenges in Vietnam water sector, and I believe that together with the international collaboration with Australian YWP network, surely we can go further to address those challenges. Next, I would like to invite everyone to move to a next section. Then we will have a 5 presentation prepared by emerging water leaders from Southeast Asian countries, Australia and Nepal. The topic of this presentation focuses on the challenges and solution and opportunity for growing the YWP. Also, they also mentioned about the policy challenges and future solution, and technical challenges and future solution for those challenges. And now I would like to encourage all attendees to provide some feedback during the panel discussion at the end of our section. To start now, I would like to invite the presentation from the Emerging Water Leader Working Group number 1. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Huy. Xin chào and good morning, everyone. On behalf of Group 1, we are pleased to show you our video presentation. Please enjoy. Let me just make sure that you are able to see and hear this properly.
First, we're going to start by reasons why YWP networks are needed by the water sectors. There are 4 points. First point is to build community and collaboration. YWP networks could lead water sector organizations to share learnings, experience, and perspective on common challenges or opportunities. Second, YWP networks are needed in order to raise young professionals' voices in terms of building innovative solutions, even more to give them opportunities to take action. Third reason is to build attraction and retention in the water industry. Peer network could make them engage and keep their interest in the water industry. Last point is to develop young professional and capacity building. The participant could learn a lot of things such as leadership and any other things from peers and senior professionals.
We all know that the young water professional network are important. Here are the key challenges that holding us back from growing the successful network. Firstly, lack of the multi-stakeholder engagement and collaboration. The growing and successful implementation of young water professional network requires the key stakeholders such as government, university, local and international NGO and private sector to involve on skill sharing, capacity development and financial support. Secondly, limit funding. Most of the program has not put on the funding to support the project idea, competition and piloting. That is hard to measure the impactful of the program. The third are network. Program structure and design should consider youth perspective and be accessible, including appropriate timing for young water professionals to attend. The fourth is focusing on the type of initiative, more opportunity for training, development of leadership skill and appropriate competition. And the last one is promotion. Promotion is the key step to make people inspire and engage all stakeholders. So the challenges of promoting the network and initiative to young water professionals should be considered.
You've heard about some of the challenges that are holding us back from building successful young water professional networks. So what are some of the solutions and what does a successful YWP network look like? Firstly, we need support from government, industry bodies and other organisations including universities and private sector to help build and develop these networks. We should leverage existing platforms and networks and build on them to foster engagement and sharing of YWP experiences and perspectives. These networks should be diverse and, while focused on young people, should encourage intergenerational engagement. As members of the networks, YWPs should have the opportunity to participate in a wide range of initiatives and programs, including professional development and cross-country networking, as well as some social activities to help establish a sense of community. To help build these networks further, we should explore partnerships and opportunities to collaborate with a wide range of other organisations such as the International Water Association, universities and more. We also need to make sure that the networks are promoted through various communication channels and that we help raise the voices of young professionals. Building these successful YWP networks will benefit the wider industry. The key outcome will be cohorts of young water professionals who are equipped with a wide range of skills and knowledge and who are engaged in the water community, making meaningful impact and contributions to the global water sector.
Thank you, Chelsea. We have attempted to encompass important policy-related challenges of our countries in 5 main points on this slide. Furthermore, we have divided them into 2 broad categories, as you can see, policy design challenges and stakeholder engagement challenges. I'm going to talk about the challenges of policy design. Most of the water policies are outdated and do not address current water demands. Furthermore, our inability to implement pragmatic and successful policies is holding us from achieving sustainable water future. Updating outdated policies to meet current water demands, as well as having the determination to put these updated policies in action would help us to mitigate these issues. And the major issue is lack of coordination and integration among the organizations associated in water sector. It is one of the greatest problems currently in Nepal. Lack of clarity in roles and proper demarcation of the service areas is cause for this. Reforming institutional frameworks will resolve disputes and improve coordination among various water-related sectors, promoting integration and alignment in their work. Due to the lack of preparedness for climate change, various hazards such as drought and floods are affecting water sectors in many ways, even causing the failures of some large water projects in some cases. To address these issues, policies must be reviewed holistically to include environmental aspects and prepare our infrastructure to withstand the climate change-related hazards. That's me at the end of my talk. So I would like to hand over to my colleague Yang. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachana. The second category of policy challenges has to do with stakeholder engagement. The first challenge is the lack of focus on the vulnerable sectors of society. The COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted the vulnerability of women, indigenous populations, migrant populations, and poor communities. For a variety of reasons, these sectors are typically excluded from formal wash services, which leads to further inequality. For example, in the Philippines, the primary requirement for household service connection is proof of land title or tenancy, something that many informal settlers simply do not possess. Second, we especially want to highlight the slow progress of WASH in rural areas. This is not only a problem of physical infrastructure, such as building pipelines in far-flung areas, it is also a human rights issue. Many governments still do not have a legal doctrine with which they would be accountable to ensuring that everyone has access to safely managed water and sanitation, regardless of geographic location. The solution is simple. Policymakers should look at WASH as a systemic issue. Instead of simply deploying infrastructure, policymakers must employ a people-first approach, the idea that everyone is entitled to the best possible service and customer experience. We need to promote co-creation of solutions with communities if we are to make our policies more equitable and beneficial for everyone.
In this section, we will present the most important aspects related to technical challenge and recommend some solutions to deal with them. So the first thing to mention is slow uptake of innovative technology. We found that implementation of new technology difficult due to backlash and hesitation from technical staff or may due to limited financial capacity. Obviously, new technology should be adopted without hesitation. So to solve this aspect, we suggest providing the successful technology case and training staff as well as building the operation and management capacity and practice for water utility. The second issue comes from the water security, both in quantity and quality. The main issue in this aspect we found that include water contamination, water sources, and less prepared to climate change. Typically, in recent years, in our country have suffered from severe ground pollution or surface water intrusion, causing the disruption in water supply. Solving this problem, we found that each country government and stakeholder need some solution. First, forecasting and providing the suitable treatment plan and technical is needed. And second, we may target on type of consumption to reduce the water sources. And the most important is that it should have a long-term plan in water resources management for climate change adaptation.
Apart from the first two technical challenges from CAL, there are 5 more technical challenges that we currently aware. Let's start with the poor data in the water sector. Nowadays, we can reach the data easier than before. However, we still cannot reach the data from some area. A combination of satellite data and SCADA system can be used to fill this gap. The next one is the poor network management and high non-revenue water. To deal with this challenge, we need the high technology tools and application. The lack of the solution for rural water supply and sanitation are also the challenge we want to raise. The water accessibility and the sanitation service are the basic needs for everyone. Exploring the alternative water resources with technology implementation, recycling the wastewater, and decentralized water supply would be the plus solution for this challenge. With the rapid growth of the cities and the governmental regulations leads into the challenge in the wastewater treatment management. The urban drainage design with the uptake of water recycling and zero wastewater discharge plan are proposed as a solution. The last challenge is aging infrastructure. The aging assets such as the old pipeline will be diminished, the operation and maintenance efficiency, the asset replacement with the maintenance plan development are the suitable solution for maintenance over asset reliability.
Thank you very much for your attention. Come on, Ban.
Thank you very much, Jang. And I would like to say thank you to all members of group number 1. Excellent presentation with highlights of challenges that YWPs have been facing. And we have seen outstanding solution to address those challenges as well. I believe that we will hear many more other challenges and probably solution from the working group number 2. Now I would like to invite a presentation from group number 2. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and namaste. I'm here from Nepal and representing group number 2 to present the policy challenges, technical challenges, and the need and challenges of young water professionals. And I would like to share my slides from here. So first point is why would we like to grow a YWP network? So if we create a young water professional network, then we can foster the friendship, support the problems around the young water professionals of the Southeast Asian countries. And there is also need for great youth representation in water sector, as there are very few young professionals who work in the policy making places. Secondly, what would YWP network look like? So a network involving young water professional, it would give an image with broad and diverse background people who work in private and public sector, water utility sector, and public health professionals. The network could be structured by a group of elected panel who could be voted or made participant from each country regions, and the groups and the network could have focus groups which could be directed by sub communities. So how can we grow and support a young water professional network? So growing the young water professional network would require strengthening the friendship between the countries, which could be facilitated by including conferences, short courses, meetings, exchange programs like workplace exchange programs, and we can share about our problems and solutions with the young water professional from the network countries, and to come at an effective solution. And the last question is, so what would a network provide value to? Like I've already said, the young water professional network would be a place for sharing ideas, making policies related to water problem, and giving the future solutions. And the network is also allowed to collaborate, share experiences with new water treatment technologies, and also what realities of counterparts from other countries. So here are some of the policy challenges and policy solutions from all the 6 participant countries. We have narrowed down to some few points. The first point in making the policy challenge is the low water tariff, leading to lower budget on water sector improvements. This could be solved by pricing water utilities or revenue water at reasonable pricing. And we can also do is we can levy extra tax on the industries like chemical industry that pollute the sources of water. Another policy challenge is high and unpredictable population growth rate in the cities area, which would lead to scarcity of water in quality and quantity both. So to predict the population highly unpredictable, we need to invest more in new technologies to predict the population purpose. And also, because of the limiting water resources in this growing world, we need to invest on new technology of water resource like rainwater harvesting or wastewater reclamation and desalination. The third policy challenge is lack of support policies for disaster affected areas. So the government of our nations or these regions haven't effectively addressed the support policies to the people who are damaged whose regions are damaged with the floods, landslide, etc. So what can we do is to adapt predictive technologies so it can predict natural disasters in one point, and also what we can do is we can replace the water supply units from natural disaster vulnerable areas and keep them at some safe place from geohazards. The last policy challenge is the burdensome bureaucratic norms, paperwork, and procurement processes. These time lagging paperwork can affect delay in decision-making process, which could be solved only when the government of these regions realize that the water sector is an emergency sector, and they pass some special laws to address the water problems and cut off the formalities. Now let's move on to the technical challenges and future solution. We have listed out some of the technical challenges in our regions. The first and foremost, the technology challenge is the existing and true infrastructure technologies are mostly carbon intensive, and investing in the new technologies that give less carbon footprints have not been adopted by the new water utilities because they are not proven yet to some extent. And what we can do to solve it is we can have a great investment in research and development for low carbon technology, and also investing in technology that includes nature-based solutions. Second policy challenge is second technical challenge is the water polluted by factories and urban areas, and these are quite controllable, as it could be controlled with the strong government regulations, public awareness. The third technical challenges in our region is the low pressure in water supply pipeline during the rush hour of the peak time. So the low pressure could not exist if there had not been any leakage in the water supply pipes, and if also the quantity of water supplied would be adequate. The next technical challenge is lack of skilled manpower, which leads to inaccuracy during construction. So to make existing manpower more skilled, what we can do is to give them proper training seminars, or we can also involve them in workplace exchanges, or give them some specialized courses so that we can strengthen the manpower. Also, good construction practices, proper testing methods before the distribution of water is needed to supply the drinking water in adequate pressure. The next problem in technical challenge is the irrational settlement of population mainly in the hilly regions of Nepal who live near the flood basins. The population living near the flood basins not only hamper the quality of water present, the sources of water, but also they are a threat to the future expansion of projects, as the land expansion would not be possible. For this, the government should resettle the population living in the hilly areas near the flood basin, and so that the water could be supplied with proper rate and pressure. The next point is the limited source of funds to develop the technology in water segment. The funding, if the government cannot only provide the fund, then there can be possibilities for investors, private investors, banks, NGOs who could invest in water sector and can get a good return. And the next point, technical challenge is the construction and maintenance of water sector in low land area is a threat, as it is very difficult to maintain the water supply units clean, as the intrusion of wastewater and the swampy land is mostly observed. So we have to focus on the research and technology of strong and safe lowland construction for this. And finally, the last technical challenge is although the urban areas are provided with quite adequate quantity of water, the village areas or isolated areas, rural areas, still rely on untreated and poorly managed water sources like shallow wells or rivers. So low energy technology like the system that can be managed by small communities can be implemented by decentralizing the water supply system. That's all from group number 2. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Savan. Thank you, Savan. And all members of group number 2, wonderful presentation. I agree with all of you that on the point technical challenges with the application of advanced technology and investment in R&D. My personal experience studying 6 years in Australia, that they have a great resources of knowledge and technology in water engineering, not only in R&D institutions, university, but also that being applied by water utility and water expert in Australia. So I firmly believe that we can learn a lot from Australian water professionals and water utilities. Next, I would like to introduce emerging world leader from working group number 3 with a presentation. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Oops. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, just setting up my slides. So yeah, so working group 3. Yeah, just wanted to welcome you all to our presentation. So our group's made up of Bina from Nepal, Marion from Cambodia, Bilkis from Indonesia, Tirapat from Thailand, Terry from Indonesia, myself, Trevor from Australia, and Bui from Vietnam. So I'm going to fly through this a little bit just because we've got a fair few slides. Any issues, feel free to shout out. So we brainstormed over a couple of Saturdays over, I guess, the topics for today. Why grow a YWP network? Why? What are the policy challenges that we see as a group, and what are the technical challenges we see as a group? So I guess the first step, looking at why have a YWP network. So the simple why would be to create a network of young water professionals to not only, I guess, teach each other and learn from each other what we know from our respective countries, but also provide that support network. I think being able to tell stories, being able to share stories, share knowledge, share troubles, share challenges, share solutions really helps to kind of the group to grow. I think there's a there's a quote in terms of the Australian whiskey industry of all places, that a rising tide lifts all boats. In other words, if we all help each other move to that common goal, we get there so much easier and so much better as a group than individuals. What would it look like? I guess it'd just be a support network, not only, you know, an opportunity for people to talk to each other, share those stories, but also a library of knowledge, or, you know, being able to share that knowledge, and also having the events and the opportunities for YWPs to actually meet each other, have a chat, whether it's over coffee, over networking drinks, over anything like, you know, those kind of opportunities to actually be able to talk to each other, not only in a formal setting, but also an informal setting. How would you do it? Developing those connections and commitments, again, comes back to not only providing those opportunities to meet, but also, you know, just being able to share those stories, being able to share those, share that knowledge. You know, hosting events, whether it's conferences, technical seminars, and the like, increasing the involvement of participants in those water management challenges. Not only, that's also talking about, you know, just getting a few YWPs in a room, or a virtual room in this case, to talk over what problems they've got, and, you know, how each person would meet that challenge, and yeah, develop a support network between participants and organisations. So what would a YWP network do to provide value? It would, again, help everyone to help each other. One thing that kind of came from our discussions was that technical knowledge base. So what I know, what I guess Mara knows, what Vina knows, what Bilkis knows, we merged it all together, and we, between the 4 of us, or between the 7 of us in the group, we know more than what we would know individually. So provide training, provide excursions, site visits, you know, whether it means traveling, which is a bit hard, difficult at the moment, provide access to professionals, but even professional knowledge. Again, what we do in Australia is different to what you do in Vietnam, to Nepal, to Indonesia. So some of the policy challenges, security of water source was one of them. So dispute between water source, water authorities and water source owners. Poor communication between utility managers, potential for water sources to be polluted, that was a big one as well. Natural disasters. Luckily here in Australia, we don't deal with the monsoons and the more extreme weather events, but then again, we did deal with drought only a couple of years ago. And now we've got COVID at the moment. So, and little or no regulation of water sources. So some of the solutions, clear guidelines and policies, but not just, you know, a document that says you need to do this, but also enforcing that regulation and making sure that, you know, governments are saying you need to do this, but also making sure that that the utility is actually doing what they're supposed to do. Yeah, so effects of natural disasters to be properly managed. That could just be, you know, looking at what you're looking at building and how you can make sure that it will stand whatever you're expecting it to be hit. Things like, I know they're not part of the group, but Japan and even New Zealand are really great at building infrastructure that deals with earthquakes, because earthquakes are a problem. Just kind of taking that more whole of life approach. Project completed to offset environmental damage. We do things like that in Australia, where if we're destroying, you know, not destroying, but installing infrastructure that causes damage to the environment, setting aside land that will be properly managed to, I guess, offset the environmental damage, whether it's grow trees, you know, re-establish a natural ecosystem, just things like that. And design treatment plants to account for raw water quality variability, i.e. if you know the water's not going to always be good, make sure that you can treat it when it's not at its best. Next point was little or no code of conduct requirements. So that was more, I guess, utilities or the like, kind of having not enough oversight. So little direction or policy requirements from government, and also single company can have a license to manage water and wastewater, which often results in a monopoly of supply, which can be an issue when you've basically got, you know, someone control of a supply or control of a material that basically they can not so much do what they want, but don't have the challenge, those challenges to deal with. Regulation of water authorities to be enforced, create competition between the existing and prospective water utilities, allow multiple companies or utilities to manage water and wastewater infrastructure, so not kind of get rid of that, break up that monopoly, have more than one company involved, and create licenses with shorter timeframes, i.e. instead of giving a 5-year license to a water utility, allowing them 5 years to basically do what they want, 1 or 2 year licenses where they've got to meet those shorter term what do you call it? Shorter term challenges, and you know, if they're not meeting the necessary standards, you have that opportunity to, I guess, look at other options. So a couple of photos related to some of the points. So on the left is a bore being dug in Cambodia, having to go to 150 meters deep, just because the water table underground is just too variable to be able to reliably draw water from it. And the Sempol water reservoir in Indonesia, this one was raised because of issues such as potential for pollution, as well as sedimentation issues in the dam as well. So again, variable water quality, you need to be able to mitigate that. Falling or poor revenue streams. So, you know, are we making, this can be caused by a few different things. Water theft, not reading meters properly, as well as, I guess, an aging population where there's less people to pay for the services that you need to provide. These can be offset through a few different ways, either having more government grants available, basically trying to make do with less, and as well as review, you know, is there the option to increase rates or increase rates, which again brings its own challenges, because not, you know, a lot of people don't want to have to pay for more for the same service. Lack of skilled staff and essential materials. I know this is a bit of a thing in Australia, especially regional, where I'm from. Sometimes it can be difficult to recruit suitably skilled or qualified staff. There's different ways you can kind of meet it. Again, they're not straightforward. So providing incentives, whether it's more pay, opportunities to develop, opportunities to grow, as well as kind of train in-house, which again, a lot of those take time and money. Sometimes you might have to pay more for a professional who could easily make more, as much money in a capital city. Lack of utilisation of asset management principles. So instead of just looking at building a treatment plant or putting in a water main or a sewer main, what will be the long-term implications of it? And that's not just, I guess, is this treatment plant actually going to last for 50 years, but also will it actually last for 50 years? If you've got to replace it after 10 years, then, you're going to have problems. And instead of, waiting 50 years to have to replace it, you're basically spending additional money a lot earlier than you need to. Some of the policy solutions: create and enforce financial regulations, i.e. make the utilities accountable for what money they're spending and how they're managing their assets. Create and implement asset management plans, again, and long-term financial plans, better management of their finances, and consider long-term implications when designing and constructing assets. Move on to the technical. Environmental standards, and standards are becoming more stringent and harder to meet. We don't want to pollute the environment, but when it gets to the point where existing infrastructure doesn't meet those standards, then your options are, I guess, either see if you can get lower standards, instead of meeting nitrogen of 10 milligrams per litre, make it 20 milligrams per litre, or basically you have to find better technology that can treat that water or wastewater to the standard it needs to. Again, that kind of costs a bit more money. There's different ways around it, but it's not unfortunately straightforward. Technical capability of staff. Unfortunately, having staff who aren't able to meet the standard that you need to do the work that they're doing. I know in Australia, getting water and wastewater treatment plant operators is a bit interesting because they need to have almost, I guess, year 12 or year 12 or higher school level chemistry and biology when some of these people haven't been at school for 20 years. So, there's different ways, even from your technical staff point of view as well, getting that technical staff into those positions and being able to being able to operate a treatment plant. So ways to meet that is create technical network for YWPs or technical staff to learn from each other, which came back into one of the top points as well, where we have that technical network or that support network where we can kind of learn from each other. Create and maintain a technical knowledge base again, ensure staff have training opportunities to learn new technologies, develop staff in-house, and ensure staff can safely use technology and chemicals. Raw water quality and availability, again, the water quality isn't always the same every day. Having that technology, being able to treat the water even when it's at its worst, is very important to being able to reliably supply a water supply to your customers, and that includes to water tables. So if you've got to dig a deeper bore each time you need to access water, that's costing more funds. It means a bigger pump, and even then, there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to, reliably get that water. Some of the solutions: effective management of water sources, digging deeper bores, ensuring water can be effectively treated, and regulate and enforce water pollution infringements, i.e., don't allow people to poison the water you're trying to drink from. Aging water and wastewater infrastructure. So this is almost a kind of a funds kind of solution again. So aging water and wastewater infrastructure, it happens everywhere. If it's not being replaced quick enough, your maintenance goes up, your supply interruptions increase because you've got water mains and sewer mains that are either breaking or choking or not working as they are. And that includes your treatment plants as well. If they're not working at 100% and you're finding you're spending more time having to replace or repair things than you are actually, oops, sorry. Oh, you silly thing. Apologies. If you're spending more time having to fix things, then you're not doing the operational work that you should be. Some of the solutions can be just to utilize rehabilitation technologies where possible, ensure replacement is probably accounted for, which comes back into the asset management side, things of, are you setting enough money aside to probably operate that equipment? New pipelines be recorded, and also make sure that your GIS is correct and your workers' constructed plans is correct. And yeah, just making sure you meet the levels of service that you're supposed to with what you've got, and if it's not, then look at replacing it. Access to chemicals and materials, one thing that came up, I think some countries need to basically outsource, you know, chemicals like sodium hydroxide, chlorine, and the like from other countries. Being able to, I guess the solution for that would be to somehow attract those industries, but also properly attract those industries, but then also maintain those industries as well. So a couple more examples. So on the left is the Barnsbury water treatment plant in Kathmandu, and on the right is the Goulburn wastewater treatment plant. So one of the treatment plants that I manage here in Goulburn, about 2 hours from Sydney. So one on the right's only about 3 years old, about 32 million Australian dollars spent on that. Example of renewing aging infrastructure. Difficulty managing water and wastewater infrastructure, undetected water losses. Again, that comes back to that maintenance of infrastructure, interrupts your operations, having to constantly fix things. But also you move into those water losses. Are your water meters actually reading water correctly? If you've got mains breaks every second day, then you're going to be losing a lot of water. So that's, again, lost income, which then comes back to basically creating water that you're not going to be able to recoup the funds for. And I guess more issues in that regard is difficulty meeting existing service levels. So if you've got water mains that are constantly breaking, then you're not supplying reliable water to your customers. And then you even get into that issue of, you know, are you supplying water that's, I guess, fit for purpose? Some towns and villages don't even have that infrastructure. So, you know, being able to, you can't even provide the infrastructure that's not there. And also GIS systems outdated, where you don't have a reliable source of knowledge for your infrastructure. Some of the solutions: establish and maintain community levels of service, i.e. what level of service do we want to provide? Do we want to provide water that meets this standard, that standard? Updating GIS, making sure your information is up to date. Some examples on the left is a water meter that you obviously cannot read. On the right, a repair of pipe work, where, as you can see, there's a lot of services there that they weren't expecting. That's because they didn't have the information up to date. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and sorry if I've gone over. Stop share.
Thank you, Trevor, and all members of group number 3. Excellent presentation. I share with you on the challenges with lack of tools for asset management. I learned this from our water utility improvement program supported by Australian Water Partnership that connect Australian water utilities and Vietnam water utility in both urban area and rural area, where they exchange knowledge, tools, and experience on not only asset management, but also non-revenue water quality management. I found this program is very helpful for both twins, Australian water utilities and Vietnam water utilities. So I encourage you, or YWP, if you get a chance, join this program with us. IWA is very happy to connect. Yep, so moving on, I would like to invite emerging water leader from working group number 4 with a presentation. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Hui. And good morning, everyone in every single country that we are having today. My name is Jessica Rodriguez, and I'm introducing the group number 4, which has people from all of our countries, including Sijit from Indonesia, Jarudek from Thailand, Siamni from Cambodia, Diep from Nepal, Trong from Vietnam, Chris from the Philippines, and myself representing Australia. So I'm going to introduce what is our YWP, our dream YWP. Then Trong will be explaining the policy challenges that we identify in our countries and the solution to one of these problems that we kind of went a little bit deeper. And at the end, Jarudek is going to explain our technical challenges and the solutions to one of the problems. So our dream Nepal, Southeast Asia, and Australia YWP network is basically a space where we can have a lot of cooperation and collaboration happening. For us, that's the main reason that we need this kind of network. And also something that another group mentioned before is avoid duplicated efforts. There is no reason why we should be having multiple efforts in different countries to solve the same problems. And also we realistically need multidisciplinary problems that we have multidisciplinary programs that require a team working into solving those. So why cannot we have people from different countries working on these solutions? And in terms of how would this network look like, for us, is a sense of community. We would like a community in which we can share our knowledge and support each other. And more than that, it's a place. We define it as a place that we can all work together to tackle these policy and these technical problems. And also we talk about this opportunity and this network to be a continuous opportunity for career growth. When we talk about how can we be supported to make this grow, I think one of the key goals that we talk about was creating awareness and create empowerment in young water professionals, that we can really do a lot of these things and we can solve all of these problems if we just work together. Of course, we talk about constant support from the different water associations, and this event is just evidence of that support that we're having. And also we talk about having professional exchange programs. There's a lot going on about educational programs, but why not having professional exchange programs that allows us to learn from different problems in different countries and different solutions? In terms of what would this YWP network provide value to people, I think the most important part is promoting career growth and networking opportunities that in the future might be face-to-face when we have events again, but for now this is just as good. We would like to create awareness that our problems are beyond our borders. It's not only the problems that we have here in Australia or in Thailand or in individual countries, it's all about the problems that as a region we have. And also we would like, I think this network provides value in a way that YWPs can liaise for those policy changes. We can be the leaders that are going to be solving these problems in the future. And we would like to see that as a YWP network, we can have projects together. Like, it's not only about the networking, but we can tackle these problems together and be in the forefront of the design of different solutions. So I'll pass it to Trong for her to do the policy changes.
Thank you, Jessica. So I'm Ngoc, representative of Group 4, and I will continue Jessica presenting. So we actively discussed to find the common problem of 7 countries. And in terms of policy, we recognize the common issue that is, first of all, the centralized or the decentralized management system also greatly affect the performance of water utilities and other issues. The second one, the master plan has a great influence on the formulations of the annual development plan of its utilities. So the limited funding driven by a lack of master plan will also affect the performance of the water utilities. And the other challenges are the ineffective regulation for the water and the road development, water source management and underground water exploitation. The next one is the water bill problems. We have illegal connection using water without paying. This is, I think, the same challenges for many other water utilities all around the world. And the last one is the overlapping of the service. We have underground many pipeline pipe for water, electricity, communication changes, and this is, we need one policy for every service that we can manage it well. So next one, to go deeply in one of these challenges, we have discussed more about the reason of this difficulty, and we found out that the limited funding for water and wastewater investment, and the unclear master plan, for instance, the pipeline system. The next one is the lack of attention of the local authorities and limited awareness of and knowledge about water. And the very important one is the water supplies have difficulty to survive, especially in this condition now of the pandemic COVID-19. And the next one, here are some solutions that we have found out together to solve the challenges. These are, first, we need to identify a lead agency that have the strong impact enough to drive the other related parties to establish and implement the master plan. Second one, we need to estimate the cost for allocate the budget or international funding for the master plan. And we need to create the master plan independent from the political situation and with the multidisciplinary experts engaging on stakeholders. And the master plan that we need to revise annually, and we need to research on problem from every institute. And the last one, we need to develop plans for pedestrian for different conditions. Finally, are the solution for the limited funding challenges. To solve the problem, we need to make it water is a top priorities of the government, and to find the international funding to support private investor in developing master plan and to get the investment in a reality, and to have a secure investment, and the invest need to in accordance with the master plan, and all the utility needs to focus on the long-term investment. This is the end of my session. So now my friend from Thailand will continue the technical issue.
Yes, the technical challenge from our group after we discussed. The first is water shortage by the climate change effect. The weather change, so we don't have water enough for the dry season. The second, availability of water and wastewater treatment technology and increasing capacity. Soil settlement and refill is the problem of physical geography depend on location of country. The problem about energy is also the important problem because increasing emission create greenhouse gas that lead to global warming and then climate change. The pipe failure is a problem because of external impact loads like road development or household and quality of product. So we can see our problem is about lack of technology adaptation. The most problem for our group agree with is about water and wastewater treatment method. So because they have increasing in population, but the method is still the same like old time, and the capacity is peak now. So, and we don't have a special staff for tackle this problem. This is the big problem from our group discussion. The solution is exchange program to improve technical capacity and find new raw water source invest in methods to control water loss, support from international water industry to improve treatment technology. You can see all parts of the country, and let's make every section do from wastewater and water treatment. So the first step is serious government attention, investment to wastewater treatment develop. The second, being a complex process, there should be professional training conduct overseas. Treatment is smaller scale, from house to transform in use in the greywater and the household wastewater used in irrigation and domestic biogas plant. This is our group solution from the technical. Thank you.
Xin trân trọng cảm ơn.
Thank you, Group 4, for your presentation. We commend all of you for your presentation and commend AWA and AWA for giving our young professional this chance. Sorry, we still have a Group 5. I thought we have just listened to Group 5. No, Group 4.
Thank you very much, all members of group number 4. And Jessica, Ngoc. Yeah, really lovely to see the presentation. Excellent. You have raised some policy challenges, and I agree with you that they are hard to be resolved by a single party. It needs a holistic approach with involvement of all stakeholders. So that's gonna be a great topic for us. Ladies and gentlemen, to all YWPs, for your information, Water Policy Forum will be held tomorrow with quality presentations there by policymakers, representatives of ministries, water professionals from Australia, Vietnam, and other international organizations. So I encourage you to attend this forum and hear about the development progress of regulatory frameworks being developed by the government agencies. Lastly, I would like to invite emerging water leader from working group number 5 with a presentation. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Hi everyone, we are on an emergency water leader group 5, but we rename ourselves as Nika Splash. The Nika acronym represents our various countries, Nepal, Indonesia, Cambodia, and Australia. Well, the splash represent the impact to the water when we have when we move and disturb, and we would like to be impactful effect to the water industry by working together and shaping a collaborative knowledge and sharing environment for young water professional. Okay, next slide, Rabin.
Yeah, thank you, Ramat, and briefly, we're going to briefly introduce ourselves at first before enter into the presentations. Namaskar, it's me, Robin Kurga. I'm from Nepal, currently working at Kathmandu Pateka Khanipani Limited, Maharajan's branch. My position on my organization says as an engineer. I'm working as a production and distribution chief of our branch, and my interest toward this program is to sharing and collaborations of knowledge with other that's related to water sector. Thank you.
Yeah, hi everyone, my name is Amanda Chang and I'm from Australia. I work at Southeast Water, which is a publicly owned water utility in Victoria that provides water and wastewater services to the metropolitan region of Melbourne. So I work predominantly in the wastewater space and process optimization in our various treatment plants. I've always been passionate about collaborative knowledge sharing as well as connecting people together, which is why I'm really excited to be part of this program. Tran?
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Tran from Cambodia. I'm a senior water supply engineer at the Cambodian Water Supply Association. I appreciate this program because we can learn and sharing about experience and technical and also on the water sector. Okay, thank you.
Yep, so before we launch into our challenges, we thought we'd just summarize quickly our presentation journey, which is documented in this flowchart here. So we first met as a group and we started discussing the water supply process in each of our countries before summarizing this information in a shared document. We then individually filled out our slide packages and each person presented their slides to the group on what they perceived to be policy and technical challenges within their country. We then together picked 3 technical and 3 policy challenges that we felt were applicable or mostly applicable to all of our countries and expanded on appropriate and high-level solutions for each of them. We then discussed the role of a YWP network after essentially experiencing an international YWP collaboration and shared ideas on how we would like to grow this international network. So now Robin will talk about our first policy challenge.
Yeah, thank you, Amanda. And our first policy challenges is regarding as the public water demand for treated water. And public, every people have their rights to get pure water, but this is not possible to provide all of people to provide surface water due to lack of infrastructure developments and its insufficient quantity of water available at the reservoir, so that some people get water from the ground sources, which is directly or not without treatment. So people demand for treated water and surface water because the quality regarding of the groundwater, that's regarding quality like color, smells, and silt extraction while they collect the water. So they heavily demanded for the treated water. So people want to connect to secure water, but they are unable due to the many reasons I already said before. And to solve this problem, governments should develop the infrastructures for those area which is not supplied the treated water. So you can see in the pictures there is the green shaded area and dark shaded area. In green shaded area, they are the people who are served by the treated water from we call the Baswari water treatment plant. This is the example of our Nepal in the situation, and the dark shaded area in the map which is served by the groundwater. So the people who serve with the groundwater, they demand for treated water from the green shaded area. There is the one reservoir, and they demand water and forced to distribute the treated water for the water operator. And second picture says showing the solution for this. This is the connections of water pipeline from a reservoir to the area which is served by ground sources. So the solution for this problem, and I think it should be mentioned in the policy, and government should not create a barrier between that provide the groundwater and surface water. Next slide, please. And second policy challenges is the management of water source. I think it is particularly water source is related to surface water source and groundwater source. The problem of groundwater source I've already discussed in my slides, but where the area where surface source is not available, then for them we should divert from another area. And people who are near to the water source, they want some incentive and royalty in the form of money value to divert the water. So that's create a problem. So that government should ensure that ensure the enough allocations of water for the people near the water source, but unable to the monetary compensations. And another problem of management of water source is the groundwater source management. This is the lack of the groundwater monitoring framework policy, which is related to how the people know about the groundwater, like quality, their discharge, and fluctuations in water, groundwater table, underground soil parameter, which are vulnerable to soil subsidence also. So to solve this problem, which government should prepare the groundwater quality management framework, which regularly provide the water operator or water sector who regularly provide the information about the underground conditions. And
okay, the third policy challenge is implementation of organizational policy and strategy. Organizations have many strategies and policies like emission reduction, recruitment drive, culture reform, tariff pricing, etc. But the pathway to achieve this is not always clear. And the solution is to properly implement internal policies and strategies. Organization must have a clear framework on how it will be achieved. It shall involve active engagement from relevant stakeholders with accountable progress and milestone. And then should be transparent throughout the organization and be paired with information for both interpretation. Like recruiting new employee, we must do open recruitment and have a transparent roadmap or a regulation for how to be a next level, like a supervisor or a manager. Next slide, the first technical challenge. Yeah, the first technical challenge is planning and delivery of assets. The problem is aging infrastructure requiring renewing and need to plan for the future and consider the effect of population growth and climate change and adapting to new technology as operational recruitment change. And the solution is appropriate utilization of asset management plan, and when we create implement correctly will inform to renewal, upgrade and construction. Organization to collaborate with the government to support the development of a new and appropriate infrastructure, and consider the use of SCADA automation where possible, like some water operator in Indonesia will start to build a SCADA system. Okay, next, Rabin.
And thank you, Ramad. And this is the pictures how Ramad explained about the aging of the infrastructure. This is the picture showing that it's about the 110-125 years old pipeline, which is through leaking and wasting of the pipe. And the second one is the solution for this by replacing some section of pipe which is regularly to be repaired. So it is replaced. This is the picture of replacing some section of pipe where the old infrastructure is there. Next, and this is the second technical challenges is the increasing NRW, and that's what we call the non-revenue water. It simply means the unaccounted water, which is lost through the various ways. So it is the big problem and make organizations financial weak, and it is caused by various factors like unauthorized connections and real losses through leakage, or authorized but unbilled connections, and where meter reading go for meter reading and they put the value by assuming them, and this is the problem. It is the growing problem, and it's out of if we not control within our NRW within our range, then it will be make financially weak. So to solve this problem, we should implement the smart meter reading as far as possible. Ensure the 100%. If it is not possible to smart reading, but it should be done by the 100% household meter manually. And by for the exact calculations of NRW, we also have an approach to DMA approach to analyze the water losses, how much continuity was lost through the NRW leak, and to solve the NRW, we should know what is the origin or what is the cause of NRW, from where it is lost from, like a meter error, illegal tapping, leakage, or customer faults, etc. So this is the one of the important technical challenges for us also. Next.
Sorry, I was muted. The third technical challenge that our group identified is the process of data documentation and storage, which when done poorly can cause an organisational knowledge gaps. It's also possible for documents to be stored in various locations, and you may not be able to find a file, know its most updated revision, and hard copies may not have been digitally translated. So our group's solution to this challenge is that data should be recorded and stored so that if required, it can be turned into something useful that provides informative value. If the data is to be contextualized, this information should be in a format that will allow for knowledge retention, like a memo or a plan, and that will provide easy reference should the need arise. And organisations should offer training on how and where to save these documents and ensure that people know how to access these systems, which is extremely important as it involves, if done incorrectly, can cause accuracy and efficiency issues. So for example, you can use SharePoint Online or create a digitalized data center that specifically is used for the company and is easily accessed. So why should we grow a YWP network? So by completing this task, we have experienced firsthand the power of collaboration, and the common theme has been that promoting knowledge sharing and collaboration will assist in expanding the water sector. YWPs are the next generation of leaders and will provide a key role in shaping and defining the future of the water industry, which is important to invest in them now and provide capacity. So it's also clear that it's possible to leverage off each other's knowledges and experiences to tackle common challenges together.
Okay, how would to grow and support a young water professional network? We create platform for knowledge sharing and to connect like-minded individual. And then over exchange experience and mentoring YWP and develop capacity by providing technical training, webinar, short course to young water professional. And together we develop appropriate and realistic water solution in each country. Okay, next, Rabin.
Yeah, thank you, Ramat. And would the like network provide value? I think it should create a platform and that's connect the young water professional locally and globally. And from this network, we should solve the problem related to water sector by influencing better policy and recommend to implement it. And by build the policy and to make better policy, we need to build up the technical expertise by collaborating and sharing of the knowledge to each other. So it's also be the outcomes to develop the both country and global network collaboration and knowledge sharing as appropriate. Please next. Yes, and that's we want to provide a reflection on our program so far, but we are out of the time. So, and just say thank you for listening our presentations. Thank you, everyone.
Xin trân trọng cảm ơn các cái bài trình bày của 5 nhóm.
Thank you the presentation from 5 groups. From our young professional coming from Australia, Nepal, South East Asia. You have mentioned about challenges in our water sector. Now I would like to invite you to have a tea break for 15 minutes and please come back on time. We will have a panel session moderated by a World Bank expert. Yeah, thank you. So now it's time for tea break.
Ladies and gentlemen, attendees and YWPs, welcome back to Emerging Water Leaders Forum. I would like to start with special thanks to all presenters, members of 5 groups for your excellent presentations. We have all heard that there are growing needs to connect, to learn, and to share challenges and solutions from emerging water leaders from Australia, Southeast Asia countries, and Nepal. To give all of you advice on how we can together address those challenges, I would like to invite you all to our panel discussion. The panel discussion is facilitated by Ms. Sally Armstrong, the head of International and Industry Programs at the Australian Water Association. And the theme of panel discussion is getting involved in the YWP network, benefit and opportunities. Now I would like to invite Sally.
Thanks for the introduction. And I'd also like to acknowledge Hala Quidimi joining us from the World Bank for our panel discussion. Thank you for joining us. It's fantastic. As we said, we're now moving into the panel part of today, and the panel discussion's purpose is really about helping our YWPs shape their thinking and their approaches through providing them with some feedback on the key technical and policy challenges they've presented to us today. Joining on the panel, I've already mentioned Hala Quidimi for joining us. Thank you. We've also got Corinne Cheeseman back online to join us for the panel discussion. And, Ms. Hang, have we got Chairman Diep joining us from the panel discussion? Or Ms. Hung, are you joining us? Who's joining us? Do you know? Hey, there he is. Welcome, Chairman Diep, to the panel discussion. So what we want to do with the panel discussion is really hear from our members of the panel, but also from the people in the wider audience, because I think at last check we had over 250 people online, and we'd love you to post your questions and comments about the presentations you saw in the Q&A section, and we'll also post some of those questions to our young water professionals later on. But to begin, what I would like to say is in many of the presentations we heard today, a lot of common policy and technical challenges. And we also heard about the benefits of collaboration. And while we have Corinne and Chairman Diep on the line, I'd like to actually ask them for the first questions. And Corinne, posing a question to you to start with is, how do you think that AWA can best help the young water professional network in Australia?
Thank you, Sally, and what a great set of presentations. Really a wide-ranging set of challenges, but also some really good ideas about how we can work together with some of those solutions. I think that's one of the benefits of leveraging the existing YWP networks at the Australian Water Association and VWSA. So I'd like to see that we're thinking about what the YWPs would like to focus on. So out of all of those challenges, what they see as the priorities, and providing them with the opportunities to connect with some of the programs that we might already have in place in some areas, but also for them to come up with the ideas of some of the other programs and solutions they would love to get involved in. I think there's a really great opportunity to connect our young professionals with our more experienced professionals, and together I think we'll come up with some new and innovative ways to solve some of these problems. So what we can do at the Australian Water Association is really empower you and provide you with the support to come up with a program or a plan of the things that you see as most important, and connect you with the opportunities, or perhaps go and explore other funding or program opportunities where there are new ideas coming forward.
Thanks, Corinne. And now I'd like to pose the same question to Chairman Diep around what do you think VWSA can do best to support the young water professionals in Vietnam? He's on mute, I think.
Hello, can you hear me now? Hello, can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you very clearly. a very interesting question from whoever just raised that question. At VWSA, we would like to provide a few comments. I believe this is a very interesting initiative. Since 1946, the highest leader of Vietnam said that every year starts with spring. Every life starts with the youth. So when we all start with being young, and I believe that the initiative that we're having with the development of YWPs is a long-term solution. The groups of young leaders from different countries can exchange experiences, technical experiences, and leadership experiences. So after listening to the presentations of the 5 groups, I think that you fully understand the landscape of our sector. You know where we should go, the policy and technical challenges. These are the subjective challenges that we should address right away. And we should have solutions to these problems and find your solutions very reasonable and relevant. At VWSA, we have always worked very closely with VYWPs and water utilities. Water utilities always believe in the development and pipelining of young leaders in the water sector, because in Vietnam, water supply is not a sprint, but it is a marathon. So it's important for us to empower young leaders. This is the right initiative that we should focus even more in the future. VWSA also provides support to universities and colleges. We provide both material and also mental support to the training facilities for engineers and water professionals, and we are going to roll out even more forums for young professionals to interact and exchange their experiences. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Chairman Diep. Fantastic responses on how the water associations in each country really support and value the young water professional networks. Now, before we get into asking questions directly of our young water professionals, which I know they are quite nervous about right now, I might actually just throw to Ala. We might give the young water professionals a little break so they can take a breather and get ready to answer some questions. If you would mind, Hala, just sharing your initial thoughts on their presentations. And we did hear a lot of policy challenges and a lot of technical challenges. And I guess mostly I'm thinking, what do you see as the key policy challenges and the key technical challenges going forward?
Thank you so much. It is an absolute pleasure to be here. And I'm just sort of blown away by the enthusiasm and the passion that has been shown by the group of emerging young leaders. So I think this is a fabulous initiative, and it's really a testament to us all sort of working together for a better future in terms of water security. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I was very interested in the set of presentations that was given. I can see that a lot of time and effort was put into thinking about those, and also bringing in the knowledge and expertise that the young professionals have, the experiences that they've had. You know, the challenge that we have is that, and I think another panelist said it. You know, all of the issues that were raised on the institutional side, the information side, the incentive side, the infrastructure side, this is a way that we sort of structure things often at the World Bank. They're all there. You know, they're all important, and that's the challenge of achieving water security. Is, you know, how do we prioritize amongst those, and how do we identify practical solutions that can be implemented in the environment in which we're working. So these will be really context specific, and they will need to account for the constraints of the system. So while we're working to push the bar, you know, while we're working to promote reforms, while we're working to bring in innovations, we do need to be very aware of the constraints of the system. And there are institutional constraints, there are capacity constraints, there are financial constraints. Those are real. And so as much as we might want to be very ambitious and as wonderful as our ideas might be, we've got to bring those down, I think, to a very practical, feasible solution. So I think that's where I would encourage the young water professionals to take that next step. How can we translate these great and spot on recommendations into actionable measures? So I think I'll leave it at that, and happy to, very impressed, I should say. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for those comments. And I guess that leads me to something that I was thinking about in listening, and I'll throw this open to the panel, but I'd also like to invite our young water professionals to turn their cameras back on their nominated representative who's going to speak on behalf of their group. And that, hello, I was leading, your comments made me think about is the role of mentorship and how we harness the excitement and energy and use way of thinking in our young water professionals, but also give them insight and knowledge and real practical examples of the systems in which we work in and their constraints and how to be innovative within those constraints. So before we throw open to the panel, I just thought I might ask Corinne Cheeseman if she had any comments around the role of mentorship and how that works in Australia with our young water professionals.
Yes, certainly. Thanks, Sally. We have a really strong network of YWPs in Australia in each state and territory, and we run some great mentoring programs, and that matches up less experienced or younger professionals with other more experienced professionals who are wanting to give back their time. And I would say they report to us that they get as much out of the relationship as they give. So on both sides, it's a highly successful program. I think that's a really great model, because I think one of the things that helps your career is building those relationships across the sector, and also getting those opportunities to potentially be put forward or be sponsored by more experienced professionals that might actually be involved in these programs and get you the experience that you're after. So I'd really highly recommend thinking about how we might be able to provide some mentoring support to our young water professionals in Australia and Vietnam to help them be successful. And as Hala said, to really give them opportunities to get involved in some practical measures that can actually go to address some of the problems or opportunities that we've been identifying through this program.
Thanks, Corinne. I can see that we've been joined by Chelsea as well in the bottom there, and Ramad, welcome. I guess, Chelsea, I'm interested in your thoughts now, because we did hear in a lot of the presentations what could be an overwhelming number of policy and technical challenges. When your group was discussing these and working through them, was there anything that stood out from you in terms of top 1 or 2 policy challenges that you saw, or 1 or 2 technical challenges?
Yeah, I think it was definitely very interesting to have these discussions, and certainly what our group kind of identified was that yeah, while there's a lot of different things going on in our countries, and we try to kind of identify where those kind of broad similarities are and things like that. And I think for me, one that probably stands out, and because it's definitely an issue and challenge in Australia, and other members of my group also raise it as a challenge in their countries, is that climate adaptation piece, and that kind of feeds into both policy and technical challenges. And it's also, I think, just kind of at the forefront of as an issue that young people across the world in general are quite passionate about and are starting to raise their voices about more and more. So I think it's definitely really a key area to have a look in, and definitely something that the water industry can play a role in and needs to think about within their own, within our own solutions as well. Just looking at making sure that we do look at what policies exist and make sure that, like, I'm sure most of them need a bit of updating now that we're getting more updated information and feedback from like the R&D space and stuff like that as well into what is happening in the world and the kind of impacts of climate change and things like that. So there's definitely things to be doing on the policy side, and then also on the technical side as well, and just making sure that any of our infrastructure can be adaptable to any kind of future variability in climate and impacts such as like increased natural disasters and things like that. So I think that for me was one that really stood out.
Excellent. And over to you, Ramad, now, is there anything that you saw your group working on, Ramad, that would you agree with what Chelsea was saying, that climate change and climate change adaptation is something that came through as a key policy and technical challenge, or did your group come up with anything else? He's on mute. I'm not sure if you can hear me. Did you want to answer that one, Trevor? You want to jump in?
Yeah, I can jump in. Oddly enough, our group, climate change wasn't the biggest topic that I can remember. One of the main topics, which I kind of touched on a couple of times in the presentation, was actually technical, having a bit of a library, a technical library, where people can, if they have an issue, go somewhere where they can find the answer. That come up a fair bit. There was another topic that come up as well, was just a lot of little low-hanging fruit where I guess there's just old infrastructure that needs to be replaced, like that photo of the water meter that I showed before, like something as simple as that, where water meters aren't getting read properly. It's just those little things which don't seem to be, I guess, getting addressed, but just kind of get left while we're kind of looking at, you know, the 400 other things that were going on. So no, it was a bit interesting that, yeah, the climate didn't kind of come up. It was a lot of like this low-hanging fruit of technical knowledge where, you know, we have a problem, we need to find an answer. And that's kind of come up, I guess, in our presentation as well, where, you know, just having that network of people to support each other just would just be a great start. And I guess that kind of feeds into the mentoring as well, but just having that network of people that, you know, we can talk to about things. And to be honest, I haven't found even our conversation talking about the presentation, not so often we kind of spoke about other things, and those things that we're talking about was just, you know, what do we deal with, you know, on a daily basis. And that's where things come up, like, you know, Marin with his the issue with the water table, where he's having to basically dig deeper bores to be able to get access to groundwater because the water table just keeps dropping. But then they're also fighting with other water utilities or other, I guess, companies that are trying to seek that water. So yeah, it was a bit interesting. I mean, Chelsea mentioned climate was a bit of a topic. For us, it wasn't. It seemed to be more that technical knowledge and that, I guess, support amongst YWPs.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. From listening to the response there, Trevor, I think a lot of what you're talking about is about being provided with a space to connect and collaborate and share information and share knowledge. I'm just wondering if it'd be a good time to hear from Chairman Diep again about what he thinks the keys to successful collaboration are through our young water professionals and connecting them in with the broader water industry. I'm also going to come to you after Hala and ask you the same question. So you get a little while to think about it. I put Tim and Diep on the spot. Do you have any comments about the successful collaboration, the keys to it? Oh, we might be. Do we have some technical challenges going on, perhaps? Okay, I might actually ask you that question, Hala, because I believe you can hear me. Do you want to ask, just in response to the question about keys to successful collaboration for I guess, connecting our young water professionals with the broader water network and water industry?
No, I think that's an excellent question. And also, I think somebody else might be coming in. Is it? Okay, I guess I'll proceed. I think that's an excellent question, and probably not a little bit challenging. So, you know, how do we really, as you say, you've got an excellent, vibrant, passionate network of young professionals on this side, and then you've got, you know, your water professionals and your agencies that are actually, you know, working on the ground on this side. How do you connect these two? I think that one of the ways, and this is maybe it's not fair because I'm throwing it back on the young professionals, but I do think that really following what is happening in the industry level, what is happening even in, for example, development agencies, what we're actually doing, what the government's priorities are. I mean, I think that is a way of ensuring that you are tapped in. So you're tapped into what is really happening in the sector. Where is industry going? You know, what are the new technologies? What are the government? What is the government? You know, what are their plans? What are their priorities? Where are the areas that the World Bank and other development agencies are working on? So you really have a very good understanding of the space that you're working in. And I think that would be a very good start. I think in small ways, you know, having exchanges with various, you know, sessions like this, where you bring in a few of the water industries, where you bring in a few, you know, of the development partners, where you bring in, you know, even maybe some government, you know, agencies and officials could come in. So this type of forum that you have now, I think, is an excellent start. So maybe I'll leave it at that, and you know, hand over to others for their thoughts on this very, very good question. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Hala. And I couldn't agree more. And I think that that's where, I guess, one of the hugest value adds, I think, of, you know, associations like AWA and VWSA can actually bring all the groups together and connect us to have the one conversation about the water sector. So there's fantastic comments. Now, I'm not sure if our friends at VWSA can actually hear me at the moment. I'm not sure if we're having any technical difficulties, but could you just check out for me if we are having, because I'd love to involve Ms. Hung and Jem and Diep more in the conversation. But I'm going to go to the Q&A at the moment because we've had some questions posed in the Q&A. So I'm just going to read one of them out. And this is going to go to our young water professionals. So get ready, guys. You're about to be asked a question. This question is, many of the groups spoke about the difficulties of working across sectors and with policymakers to advocate for change. This is a very widespread problem and not confined just to the water industry. What will YWPs do differently? You know, how do you see your emerging leadership role playing out here? Big question, I know. So anyone want to stick their hand up to answer it? We'll have a go.
I think it's probably just only answering part of the question, but I think definitely something that that our group discussed was that the YWP networks themselves play a really important role in helping to raise the voices of young professionals. And I think it's about creating that sense of community, helping build young professionals' confidence as they kind of connect and collaborate with other young professionals, but then also looking for those opportunities to connect with more senior professionals in the industry as well. And just, yeah, looking at different ways to be able to raise those voices of the young professionals, whether it's targeted opportunities for them to kind of publish their works or any kind of research that they've been working on, or just kind of managing to somehow like get a seat at the table when some of those decisions are being made. So yeah, I think I probably just partly answering the question, but definitely the YWP networks are a really great place to start to kind of help build that platform for young professionals.
Did anyone else from our YWP network want to say anything?
I guess without sounding.
cũng xin tham gia một góp ý kiến.
May I contribute from VWSA to facilitate the engagement of young professionals and young talents in the water industry in different platforms? I think from 3 lenses. So first, as associations or representative organizations, we should create a forum for them to raise their voice of what they wish to happen in the future, as well as the understanding and recommendations for their sector. And number 2, we should also create platforms for the leaders of the water sector to inspire young people more. Maybe some sort of activities that we can engage higher leaders. Number 3, international cooperation. I highly appreciate the collaborations that we're having right now. Each and every country is unique. Each and every country has its own solutions initiatives. Young people are passionate and they've got plenty of ideas. We can exchange those ideas with each other. And I hope that in the coming time, VWSA, AWA, and young professionals in other countries, together, we can come up with a plan for us to have more engagements and interactions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those comments, Ms. Hung. And I couldn't agree more that from an association perspective, we have such a huge role to play in raising the voices of young water professionals and also giving them platforms to connect and inspire with people in the industry and even beyond our industry. And I think the cooperation that AWA and VWSA have had over the last few years and will continue to have shows that when we work together, we can collectively help solve the water challenges in each other's countries and learn from each other. So thank you very much for those comments. I guess we've got another question in the chat, but I think it might be more to a panel member. And that's about how you go about finding the knowledge to be tapped in to understand government and technology priorities. And I think this might be following on from your comment, Hala, about how to be connected, how to get connected and know what's going on. So do you have any tips for our young water professionals?
Tough question. We're actually, we actually find that challenging ourselves. We work very hard with government to understand what their priorities are. This is basically our job. So and help them to achieve those priorities. Look, I think it's the work that you're already doing, which is, I actually think that you yourselves have the resources within you, in the sense that, look, you're just building on one of the comments that was made earlier. You are, you know the most about your countries, about Nepal, about Vietnam, about Australia, about you know where your governments are, what your government's priorities are. I think if you're sharing that knowledge with your cohort, exchanging those experiences with them, and I guess the answer to the question is you're already doing it. You just need to do more of it. Just keep it up. I cannot express to you how wonderful this network is that you're doing. It's really something I haven't seen it before, and it's just incredibly impressive. So just keep it up, and keep sharing experiences, keep supporting each other, and keep feeding each other. And I totally agree with an earlier speaker. We also have a responsibility here. We need to give you the chance to speak up. We need to give you the chance to inform us. And so that's on our shoulders. And I mean, I hope that, you know, as this conversation is continued, that we can find effective ways to engage you more centrally in such discussions, so that we can benefit from your insights and your ideas. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those comments. Chairman Diep, can you hear me at the moment? Because I would really like your advice and words of wisdom to our young water professionals on how they can stay connected and understand what's going on in the industry.
Thank you very much for your question. In Vietnam, the water sector has been provided with support to develop a database of the water sector. So it was developed, or it was initiated a couple of years ago to really provide information on the current status of the water sector. In terms of the governmental priorities, we've got plenty of forums to spread these priorities to more and more people. So on such occasions, workshops, seminars, and conferences, we always talk about the biggest bottlenecks or loopholes in the water sector, either policy or technical loopholes or gaps. So we consult not only policymakers, but also university and college professors, independent experts, and young professionals. These annual platforms are for everyone, really. They're open to public for us to understand the current status of the water sector, the gaps and the difficulties that you're experiencing. That is one. At VWSA, what we're thinking of is actually how to foresee what will happen in the water sector. In Vietnam, at the moment, the production, the water supply aspect is doing pretty well, but the collection and treatment of wastewater is performing pretty poorly, somewhere less than 1 million cubic meter of water. So that is the area that we really want to focus on. And at the moment, we're lacking policies and legal frameworks, particularly in terms of water charges, in terms of the incentives of the government for water utilities to treat water, and also the engagement of the community members in water collection, wastewater collection and treatment. So we focus on communications, awareness raising for people to really understand the difficulties that we're having as water utilities, young professionals, and just leaders in general and governmental officers can join and also understand what is going on the field. Whenever the government passes, any policy or legal framework, they have got like a pretty thorough understanding of what is happening in practice, and their policies are going to be more relevant.
Thank you very much for those comments, Chairman Diep. And I think, I really hope for our young water professionals on the line that some of those comments have actually helped prioritise and shape some of your thinking in terms of how you refine your presentations on the key technology and policy challenges going forward. I think we're actually just about out of time for the actual panel discussion, but I think from listening to everybody and the comments from our friends in Vietnam and Hello at the World Bank and our young water professionals, there's some key themes that are coming through, and that's very much around how we collaborate and partner to really around practical solutions, how we find ourselves thinking about the challenges that we face and then understanding the systems and the countries that we're working in and working together to solve those problems. So I think it's been a fantastic panel discussion. I congratulate all of the young water professionals on the thinking that's gone into their presentation so far. And I look forward to the next iteration when we next meet and you've refined your thinking a little bit more. So again, thank you, Corinne, for joining us on the panel. Thank you, Ms. Hung, for joining us. Thank you very much, Chairman Diep, for joining us. And I'd like to pass back to Hui to take us through the next part of our session.
Thank you, Sally. And all speaker and all panelists, we have heard expert practical advices from senior water leaders and experts from Australia, Vietnam, and the World Bank. Thank you very much, Hala, for joining us today. We are now moving on a poll section, and I would like to invite all attendees to participate. There are 9 questions with both multiple and single choice for you to answer. We will allocate 1 minute for each question. And we would love to hear from you. Please share with us your thoughts. The first question is, would you be interested in getting involved in a YWP network between Australia and Vietnam? This is a single choice question, so please choose yes or no. Thank you. So,
hi, Hoi.
Yep.
I can see your question. I can see.
You cannot see it?
Yeah. Why?
Is there anyone else have the same problem that you cannot see the question?
I see you. But I can see your question.
Cannot see the question, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, I can find and try.
We are just letting you know we're getting quite a few answers to the questions, but if people, what we will do is we can actually send out the poll questions as well. So if people can't see it, don't panic. We will absolutely send them out to everybody, because it's very, very important that we get these answers, because we're going to use these poll questions to shape the future of our work together.
Yep, thank you, Sally. So as Sally mentioned that if some of you cannot see the question from the poll or cannot answer, we will come back to you.
I see. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. If so someone can see but cannot answer, we apologize for that. And we will send the question after this section to you, so you can have some time to respond to our questions. You can see that there are a lot of responses coming in. We have now 5 minutes left to answer 9 questions. We have receiving a lot of responses and a lot of participation.
I didn't see the question, so where is question?
Thank you, Robin. We will come back to you and all of the attendee or someone cannot see the question or cannot answer.
Hey, I'm just jumping back in to let everyone know, it looks like the panelists and hosts actually can see the questions but can't respond. So we will send all the panelists and hosts the survey questions after this session via survey so they can complete online. So sorry about that little Zoom hiccup, but we will make sure that your voices get heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. We now have 3 minutes left and a lot of responses coming in. Thank you for your has completed your poll. May I have a gentle reminder that please ensure you answer all the poll questions if you can, all the attendees, because the answer will help us to direct our work to what your need in the future. So today's session is really for you for us to hear about your challenges, about your solutions, and what support that we can deliver to you. We now have 1 minute left. I think the time almost running out. So may I ask some attendee if you are finalizing your responses, please. We may allow you to have probably 15 seconds Yep. So the time is up. Thank you very much for your responses. We would now like to provide the results. So if you can go through that, very interesting that we got 97% of YWP would like to join the Australian and Vietnam YWP network, which is very good result. Thank you very much for all of the answer. And we will collect all the results and responses from this poll, and we'll discuss or come back to you later. Thank you. Katie, do you want to stop the polling or?
Oh yeah, can you see the poll still?
Yep, still can see it now.
I think you need to close it on your screen.
Ah, okay. I close it. All right. Thank you, Katie. So I just want to, thank you for your responses. And we will collect all the result of discussion and responses from you in the poll to develop a communique, and we'll come down in detail with stakeholders on the communique, and we will be in touch soon. In the meantime, please join the YWP network in your country and get ready for the connection with Australian YWP network. So that's all for our section today. I would like to thank you all distinguished guests, speakers, panelists for your great contribution to this section. Thank you, my co-chair, Ms. Hung. And I would like to invite all attendees to join the live networking lounge during the break before section 1 commencing at 1 p.m. Vietnam time and 4 p.m. Sydney time. Thank you very much, and see you in the live networking lounge and section number 2 and another 2 days of the Water Week.